Welcome to Discussions with LKN, where LKN talks about various technology aspects and shares his expertise. Well, in this podcast, we would be covering the I Velocity IT part of ITIL 4. High velocity IT enabled agility in an organization is what I said the context in my previous podcast. There are many questions out there. I will cover the details in the entirety of my thought process in this podcast. Well, the entire concept of IT has been to use it for its fastness and processing speeds to enable the faster delivery of anything and everything within an organization, right? As we proceed, the needs and the expectations are increasing with the advancement and in technologies. Basically, the availability of advanced technological aspects will enable more faster processing speeds and also the delivery of all the deliverables, right? So that's the primary advantage of using IT in an organization. Now, as the advancement increases, obviously the expectations are increasing, and that does result in faster, on-time, error-free deliverables also. Now, coming to high velocity IT, enabling a digital organization is the task of high velocity IT. To elaborate more, it's all about IT being the backbone of every decision made within an organization, be it tactical, operational, or even strategical. And yes, the pace should be faster, error-free, and on time. That is the primary motto. Now, apply this everywhere in an organization. I have jotted down like 15 use cases just to give a idea of where exactly the high velocity IT should actually matter in a matured organization, part of Industrial Revolution 5 or IRV, which is coined by me, right? Now, these are the use cases. Maybe hiring the right candidate, right? That is one use case. Making the fast decision on an acquisition or a partnership is also a strategic decision. Making that decision to design a deliverable, basically design a product, or basically design of a web form, or even a design of a consumable product, right? Or even a design of a service. So this all should be made using high velocity IT. Also, making a decision on the production levels, right? The count of manufacturing that has to be done, right? The amount of defects that can be controlled, right? There's various facets, part of the production levels, to which a high velocity IT can cater to, right? Making a decision on an investment, right? Right decision on the investment matters a lot, and it needs a lot of data and analysis to be performed. Imagine using high velocity IT, right, along with emerging technologies. It does makes the decisions faster, right? And also hiring a right service provider, right, who is good in a particular aspect and who can meet the objectives, right? There's a lot of data, and there's also a lot of visibility to non-visible aspects currently, which will come into picture when emerging technologies are used, right? The amount of data available on the internet about the service provider is immense and can be consolidated, analyzed, and a lot of AI analytics can be run on that, right? How about checking the quality levels of a product? That also matters, right? Investing on a possible prototype, right? Imagine you already know the success levels of a particular prototype, right? The data is already there, and there are several aspects which has to be matured to make that decision available. So again, stating this use cases are of a mature organization in IRV or Industrial Revolution 5, right? Approaching the possible investors can also be made easier, right? Using AI, AI as well as emerging technologies. AI is also emerging technology. So HVIT can enable all this using emerging technologies. Decision on a new feature or a model release also is a use case, right? Decision on expansion, be it the region-based expansion or even the funding-based expansion, or even heading into a new business segment altogether, right? Expanding the segments, right? Even this is a use case. And also investing on new technology, right? The number of positive outcomes or objectives that can be achieved using a new technology. There are already a lot of data points available, and HVIT along with emerging technologies can make a difference here also. Now, also coming to the risk part, there are operational, tactical and strategical risk. So even this can be analyzed and mitigated to a greater extent using the emerging technologies, right? Even this is possible. And coming to the governance aspects, auto cascade of the scope of control and the operational objectives. These are use cases which can be done. I mean, there's nothing stopping us as an organization, right? And much more. There are more use cases as we think. Everyone can come up with something of their own in their particular environment. Now envision what IT and emerging technologies can contribute to all this which I stated, and where we could be headed, right? And compare it with the current situation where we are. Not even close, right? That's what I'm saying. So Industrial Revolution 5 or IRV is a fast-based, innovative, culture-based industry. So there's a lot of hard work and baby steps which we have to take, should have already taken, to be frank, to start initiating this revolution. There is a lot of data to be collected for all of the above. I agree. Some of them are already available. Some of them need sanitization. But are we doing about it something? No, I don't think. We are not even headed in the right direction at this time. The technologies that we have enables the processing of this, but not even one product or service is available at this time as we speak for those use cases which we spoke. Again, I'm reiterating the above examples of the use cases are at the level 5 of the LKN's maturity model, which LKN posted last month, right? From the last blogs at Lokessh LKN.com, you would be able to source the LKN's maturity model. The iVelocity IT enables the LKN's maturity model also. And to start with, we at least need to take few baby steps. So what are those baby steps? I believe these would be contextual to the questions which I have been receiving on what exactly is iVelocity IT. What do we do in HVIT, right? What is expected of us from HVIT, right? All that is expected at this time is to automate whatever you can, and use that emerging technologies to the maximum, right? I'll give you few use cases which we can apply into every organization that we have at this time, right? The first use case is start operating those operational decisions, right? There are many operational decisions that requires manager's approval, and this has a logic already using which the managers approve this, and this logic can certainly be embedded into the tools what we have. If we don't have the tools, build that, however simplified it is, right? Build that. It doesn't make take much of an effort, and even if it takes effort, it is less compared to the amount of man hours we will be saving on the decisions, right? So start automating those operational decisions. And the second use case is start simplifying the feedback and the experience responses. Use the AI ops, use the chatbots, right? Start simplifying the feedback and experience responses, right? And create views based on the levels for those analysis. Each level of managers or each level of role needs a different view of these analyzed feedback and responses. Make it that enables faster decisions at their levels or at respective levels, right? Now coming to IT, right? What can be made here is automate those standard changes, 100% automation. Let it be instance management, let it be disk space management, let it be license management, let it be CPU management, the storage management, or the access and the user account management, even the server management. Also coming to that CMDB management, vulnerability and risk management. These are to a greater extent which are automatable, right? This can be automated. We already have all the tools. Let it be the DevOps driven tools, right? The DevOps already has even platform management options are there in DevOps. We would be able to trigger the automation using several tools. An example is ServiceNow. ServiceNow can be a trigger for n number of aspects, and it can also be single source of truth where it simplifies the compliance to a greater extent, right? Now, build that resilient IT as a next use case, right? Automating auto resolutions, right? The server issues, application issues, connectivity issues. Start with the basics. I mean, you've heard about Kiosk Monkey, right? Netflix did it. Anyone can do it. Start using the GitHub also for every development. Enable contributions to GitHub. Make that immense the collection of reusable codes. Use DevOps for platform management, right? Maintain those platforms using DevOps. Use the ServiceNow as a trigger. Automate the entire platform management completely, 100%, right? Maintain platforms in a consistent way. Anyone can. Now start innovating, right? No matter how small, right? Build that innovation culture. We all know that automating everything 100% is not something which has been practiced everywhere. And the innovations, if it starts at the operations level, right? That's a good culture to have, and we need it right now. And HVIT need automation to a greater extent, where innovation contributes to automation to a greater extent. Identify those tasks where the man hours are consumed on redundant activities, right? Automate that. For example, disk space management, license management, instance management are good examples, and they are very less error prone. And ITIL also have as swarming, right? Keep the swarming team handy, right? Complex situations with the automation can't enable can be handled using swarming techniques. And over a period of time, we can automate those complex scenarios as well. Now, another use case is, how about making that billing process fully transparent and automated and error-free? Can be done, right? Again, have the swarming applied to non-IT as well. Keep the critical people available in terms of errors, right? The resilient operations and the error handling swarming is good to have. It's excellent. I mean, you would be able to handle complex situations when things go wrong. Make that governance process completely automated. Use ServiceNow as a single source of truth. Trigger everything, record everything in ServiceNow, right? Cascade those objectives automatically from the strategic initiatives. Monitor them automatically using AI ops. Give different views to different levels for the governance process, right? Use the chatbots to cater to frequent customer interactions. Use the AI ops also for the analysis on those chats. Generate different views for different roles. It is possible. Enable the auto compliance management also. Create that transparency from end to end aspect of delivery with customers. Use the emerging technologies. I know security, information security threats are there, but you know what? It's not the complexity or the security threats that are a threat to the process or enablement of this. It's the ethical behavior which is needed, which is lacking. Leaders understand IRV or Industrial Revolution 5 needs immense transparency and most ethical practices. That's where the bottleneck is. If you fix that, everything falls in place. Imagine the Twitter deal doesn't need so much of time. It's the ethical behavior that's in question which is delaying the deal. There are loads of examples such as this. With this, I end this podcast. The question is the ethical behavior of organizations and leaders, right? How transparent can they be? How ethical are they at the grassroots level? And also, creating that safety culture matters. Fail fast. It's okay to fail, but it's important to fix, right? If we do this rightly, rest of the things falls in place and we would head to a fast paced, innovative culture, safety culture oriented industry 5.0. That's where our target is currently, right? The most ethical organizations would be found in IRV phase. The most ethical behaviors would be identified in IRV structure. With that, I end this podcast. Thank you.